You are watching Co-op for Two. I'm Jesse, and we are continuing our playthrough of The Legacy of Dragonholt. This should be episode 9, I believe. Day 6 in Dragonholt Village. To recap, we spent all of day 5 just attending the wedding of Miriam and Baxter and doing nothing game-wise. Just listening to kids and people having a good time at the wedding. But we wasted our entire day doing stuff that was useless to us, getting social progress marks that we didn't need because we already had it maximized, and we went to all this trouble. We used this war rune that was so precious to forge this sword, and the sword is mostly useless to us. It gives us dueling, which we already have, and military. So, I mean, I guess we have half of it. But I thought it was going to be better for us than that. And we have this mushroom that we could eat and see what happens. I mean, I will eat it if we don't find something better to do with it. I mean, I should take a little bite of it. Not eat the whole thing, just a bite and see what happens. Because if it's poisonous, we'd like to use it to poison someone. And if it's good for us, we'd like to use it for some good. We've got 2 healing potions and 35 gold. I wouldn't mind another healing potion. But after yesterday, we gotta go do something today. Today is the day for action. So let's read the start of today, which we've recorded. 5248 is how we start. Okay. You wake, sweating, to a commotion. At first you think the gnomes are still running rampant, but a quick glance outside your window shows that the few gnomes you do see are quietly cleaning up from their festival or heading west out of town. You dress, somewhat reluctantly in the great heat of the day, and go downstairs. The common room is nearly empty, with half-eaten breakfasts neglected on various tables and no signs of sapphire or jasper anywhere. You help yourself to a roll left over from last night's dinner and wander outside to finally find the source of the hubbub. A large crowd has gathered outside the Swan, all muttering to one another and staring to the east. You find Sapphire standing precariously atop a rain barrel, straining to see over the crowd, with Hunter, the bartender from the Chatty Archer, at her side. That doesn't look good, she murmurs. To the east, a pillar of black smoke towers into the sky. A red, sullen light lurks there. What is it? Asks a villager with a straw hat. Dragon, answers Hunter, his eyes narrowed. A murmur of agreement spreads through the crowd. North and east of Evismore, if I'm reading it right. In Belmont lands, maybe, asks the villager in the straw hat. Right on the border, says a dusky-skinned human woman in a sheepskin vest. My cousin rode in with the news this morning. Evismore is mighty scared right now. Well, they should be, says Hunter, his face dark. So we can inform the guards that a dragon has been spotted. We can warn Lady Regina that Evismore could be in danger. Or we could head east and protect Evismore yourself. This encounter is complete. When you are prepared to face the dragon, visit the Eastern Road, 1810. Okay. So whenever we want, we can go on the Eastern Road to meet the dragon. Now I'm going to note that because last time I didn't and I forgot. So Eastern Road is dragon. Now, the last time we played, and someone was like, hey, you want to go rescue Philip? We were like, what's the rush? But now I see, if we don't go right away, maybe the dragon eats that town, and we don't even get to meet the dragon. Is that what's going to happen? Is it going to be like Philip? Oh, the dragon ate the town and he flew away, and now you don't even get to chase him. So I kind of want to go right for that dragon. Inform the guards that a dragon has been spotted. That does seem logical. We could warn her, and maybe she'll deputize us and give us some money. Like, I wouldn't mind getting prepared a bit. All right, let's warn her because she can warn the guard. I mean, I'm warning one of them, but let's see. If we warn the guards, I sure would love one more of these things before we go. That seems like it would be useful to us. Will we be able to warn them both? Let's warn her. She's more likely to give us money. I would like to have money to get some more healing potions. So we're gonna warn her. 3, 3, 2, 8. But I wouldn't mind warning the guards either if we get the chance. 3, 3, 2, 8. As you approach Fairfax Manor, you hear voices and the whickering of horses from your right. Stepping around the manor, you find a group of people mounting horses in front of the Fairfax stables. Braxton, the guardswoman Talea, and Rochelle are already mounted, and the stable master Gowan is helping Regina up into the saddle. Gowan? The one we don't trust. I thought you might come around, says Braxton with a smile as she adjusts the lie of her sword. You note that she's not carrying a lance or really any weapon you'd expect her to bring to fight a monster 10 times her size. If you want to help, mount up. We're riding to Eversmoor to evacuate the people there. If story point Y3 is marked, it's not. Really, we're not having Gowan arrested? I don't understand that. All right, but Y3 isn't marked, so we have to go 2270. Rochelle muscles her piebald stallion past you, making for the road. Mother won't let us ride after the thing ourselves, nor should she, snaps Braxton. You are the heir. This is a knight's task. My lady, allow me. A dozen men-at-arms, crossbows, a ballista, lances. I believe it can be done. We haven't a dozen men-at-arms to spare, chides Regina. Not even one. Your wife will not thank me if I send her home your corpse, I think, Dame Braxton. First, we evacuate Eversmoor. Then, we send a rider to Lord Belmont and unite our efforts. As you command, my lady. Braxton bows her head and turns her horse toward the road. We must not delay, says Regina to you. If you have a mind to challenge this monster, I cannot dissuade you. Perhaps the Belmonts have already dispatched their soldiers, and they may be of some aid to you as well. With that, the party rides off in a chatter of hooves. This encounter is complete. If you intend to face the dragon yourself, visit the eastern location. Okay, so again, it's just reminding us when we're ready, we go east. We're not ready yet. Let's go. I'm trying to see how we can bulk up. Spiritual meditation, we're not close enough. Physical training is the one we are close enough to potentially do. And then give ourselves some options. I'd love to be able to get athletics, agility. Let's start by going to... I wish we could get more money. And I don't want to waste too much time. Although, maybe we should wait for the other people to get there. Let's go to the guard station and warn them. 5230, or get some training. 5230. 230. 6259. If 0 or more time has passed, read 5656. The old orc officer, Tweagle, sits on a stump in front of the guardhouse, polishing a coat of mail. Keep yourself out of trouble, he advises mildly. Can I help you with anything? Request to use the training ground or leave. Okay, I'm going to request to use the training ground. I think we're going to see if we can't get some physical training. But it will cause time to pass. 1322. You receive a practice weapon from the rack and square up against one of the blocky training dummies. We lose 2 stamina, but we can mark a progress in combat or physical, and then time passes. All right, so that completes our physical training. That's good. Having this complete, these 2 complete, is useful because now when we really need it, we could activate this one to get agility, athletics, or endurance. They're especially useful because we don't have to know ahead of time that we're going to want it. We can use it in the heat of the moment. But we still only have 1 experience, so we can only do 1 of these once. If we could get 1 more heroism, we will have another skill, another experience that we could spend. All right, and now we have to mark a time passes on day 6. I don't know any other way to get heroism. We're going to go try to fight the dragon, even though it's going to be scary. But let's go to the apothecary and see if we can get a healing potion. 1 more. Oh, and we were supposed to lose 2 stamina. Okay, that brings us to 12. Apothecary is 6,300. Maybe she'll give a discount and give us 2. So we're in the apothecary. Less time has passed. We know it's open till 5. It's day 6. Day 6. The shop is relatively quiet, which, judging from Miriam's bedraggled appearance, is a good thing. The only customer you can see is Hunter, the bartender at the Chatty Archer. He hands Miriam some coins and receives a small paper envelope that rattles with some sort of pill in exchange, then thanks her for her time. He steps around you with a nod as he leaves, and Miriam waves weakly in your direction. It's too hot, and I think I drank too much at my wedding, she complains, and for some reason I don't stock a miracle hangover cure. What can I help you with? She tugs at her shirt and does her best to fan herself against the heat. We can ask what Hunter was doing there. Let's do it. 1577. I don't even remember if we've been to the Chatty Archer at all, which is kind of ridiculous. I may have to go there before we meet the dragon. 1577. Oh, Hunter was just stocking up on his Kurnos spear tablets, says Miriam with a wave. You dry and powder the root, then mix it with some starch and make tablets out of it. Got lots of masculine essence in a plant like that. I guess men like him need to take them on a regular, or they start to look a little too much like women. I can't believe I just said that, she exclaims, clapping her hands over her mouth. That wasn't my secret to tell. I've got to apologize to Hunter when I see him next. Don't go spreading that around. Miriam groans and drops her head on the counter. This is not my best day. Please buy something. You look around the shop. 7699. Okay, that was weird. The shop smells of warm herbs, metallic tang lurking beneath. Oh, look at this. The shop smells of warm herbs with a metallic tang lurking beneath. Miriam gives you a friendly wave from her place by the counter as you look through the racks of potions, elixirs, raw ingredients, and supplies. Now, we can purchase some potions, or we can offer her alchemical ingredients, requires a strange mushroom, or dragon blood. Well, we have a strange mushroom. I think we're going to offer it to her. We can also request to use her equipment if we have alchemy, which we don't, or leave. I mean, I want a healing potion, but we've got this mushroom. Better to give it to her. She knows what to do with it. So we're going to give Miriam this mushroom. And we need to make a note that Miriam at the apothecary wants dragon blood because we might go get some. So if we had kept better notes, we've probably been here before where we had this option if we had the mushroom and we hadn't remembered that. So the game is rewarding you for keeping good notes, and we haven't been doing it with this game. Okay, 9618. Let's see what she says about this mushroom. I mean, sure, we're definitely giving it to her. It might be fun to just eat it, but if she knows what it is, I just hope she gives us some good stuff for it. At the mention of rare ingredients, Miriam's face lights up. Well, let's go see. Come, come, she says, and drags you through the door to the back wall to her laboratory. Racks of strange liquids bubble and boil against one wall, while the ceiling is hung with drying herbs. The long, narrow space has a sharp, tangy smell that isn't entirely unpleasant. Miriam leads you to the workbench, well situated under the window, and mounts the stairs placed there for gnomish convenience. Let's see what you have. So we can give her the strange mushroom or give her the dragon blood. So we're going to give her the mushroom, which is 4, 4, and let's remember to come back here with the dragon. 4, 4, 5, 5. What do you think she's going to make out of this mushroom? Oh, interesting, says Miriam, turning the mushroom around in her hands. She holds it up to the light streaming in through the window, sniffs it, and touches it to her tongue. Ugh, she says, I think this might be... The gnome clambers up to stand on her workbench, then stretches to reach a high shelf and pulls down a book whose cloth binding looks tattered and moth-eaten. The previous occupant left his library behind. Lucky me, let's see. Sitting cross-legged on the table in front of you. She flips through the book until she finds what she's looking for. Ah, this is a goblin cap mushroom. Also called a death's flower. Also called a spirit of wind mushroom for some reason. She filches a scrap of ribbon from her pocket and uses it to mark her page in the book, then closes it and sets it aside. The good news is I can also render it down to an especially potent tincture useful for speed and agility potions. In fact, with this one mushroom, I should be able to brew something for a few batches. She stands again and places the mushroom in a clay dish on another slightly lower shelf. We lose the mushroom. Mark story point S4. Okay. Thank you for this. Once I'm done brewing up a batch, you can have as much as you like at cost. So saying, she climbs back off the workbench. We can give her the dragon blood or leave, and time passes. I'm ready for that potion. We've marked story point S4. So maybe she's going to brew it now. I'm going to go back right now. The apothecary. I believe the rule is... Sorry, I'm just going to read this. I believe the rule is you can't benefit from a place more than once in the same day, but you can still go back. Um, hmm. You cannot gain the benefits of an entry more than once per day. You cannot gain the benefits of an entry more than once per day. That's fine. I don't think we've done that. But have we marked our time passes? Did we mark it now? No, I can't remember if we marked time passes. I'm going to not mark it again in case we did, because I don't have time to spare in this game. If we didn't, then we're one time behind. It's not the worst thing in the world. 6,300. So we're going back to the apothecary on the 6th day. Browse the potions 7699. I see. She doesn't have it. She's not going to have it till tomorrow. Oh, purchase some potions. 1495. Okay, so either way, we wanted to purchase a healing potion. 1495. Although I sure would like some more money. Miriam jams her thumb over her shoulder toward a tall shelf. The good stuff is on that shelf. You should find what you're looking for over there. We can purchase up to 3 healing potions for 25 gold. If you have point S4 marked, you may purchase Swiftness Potion for 50. If L8 is marked, we can purchase Strength. That's going to be the dragon, if we bring our dragon. All right, well, we don't have 50, so we can't even purchase. And now time is going to pass. All right, well, I guess we're going to purchase 1 healing potion for 25. And then time is going to pass. That's pretty sad because... Yeah, well, let's purchase healing for 25. That brings us down to 10. And brings us to 3 healing potions. Well, I really wanted that swiftness. It's going to be hard to kill the dragon without it. Okay, time passes. Well, that did not go as well as I hoped. And I'm not sure. I think we better leave for the dragon. I would have loved to get... We're not going to get a heroism, which means we're only going to be able to use 1 skill anyway. So, okay. We can also get Deception, Empathy, Performance, or Streetwise, or Agility, Athletics, Endurance, or Stealth we have. Okay, and then we think that the potion for 50 will give us agility, so might not be worth buying, upgrading to that skill. All right, let's go for the dragon. We're not all that well prepared to fight it, but I'm not going to put it off. Let's go 1810 and see how bad it gets. 1810 Eastern Road. The road that leads east away from the village is mostly cobbled. Before I do this, I mean, it's like, boy, we could have used that speed potion to fight this dragon. All right, but we do have 3 health potions. All right. The road that leads east away from the village is mostly cobbled, a more official-looking road than the others leading to Dragonholt. The road is flanked by numerous trees for some distance before twisting out of sight. If it's day 6 and 3 or less time has passed, which it has, so if we had waited one more time, we would have gotten something different. But we're heading out early, so we're getting 1920. Well, at least we did that. I would have been upset. I mean, we could still head out, but I'm tired of missing things. So 1920. Unless it says, like, don't go out so early. The smoke of the dragon's attack rises on the horizon to the east. A hot wind is blowing, and sweat beads on your forehead. The eastern road is a dangerous one today. The other thing is, I guess there's more of a chance of heroism if we go out there at the first sign of danger than if we wait for the king's army to get together. All right, so we can travel to the site of the dragon or go back home, I guess. Ignore the smoke. It says ignore the smoke. The encounter is complete. All right, 2080. At least I feel good that we're being heroic, going for the dragon. And maybe that's what counts for being heroic, that we're going without being as prepared as we might want to be. Evesmoor is almost a day away on foot or a few hours on horseback, so your first step is to find suitable mount. You visit the public stables south of the Swan and explain what you're looking for to the stable master, a broad-shouldered human man with dark brown skin and a close cap of gray curls. I'm all for someone taking care of that dragon, the man says with a frown, but I'm not eager to see my property ride straight at a monster that might find it fancies the taste of horse. He scratches his head for a moment and sighs. All right, I suppose I can always ask the Countess to reimburse me if you get my animals killed. Lars? He sharts, and a tow-headed human boy comes scurrying from within the stable. Lars will help you get mounted, explains the stable master. Lars takes you through the stalls to a paddock out back, where you see several fine horses, ponies, and even a larger than usual goat. Riding goat, explains Lars. Just got that one from the gnomes yesterday. Sure-footed, but she's a bit strong-willed. Take your pick. By the time you're mounted, you find Tweagle leaning against a post outside, a collection of spears and crossbows at its feet. I heard you're about to go do something stupid, he says, so I opened up the armory. Have at it. You take what you need from Tweagle's supplies, thank the stable master for the loan, and are ready to ride to the east. The encounter's complete. Read 1007 at the Terror on the Prairie quest book. Okay. Time to meet Dragon. Let's take a look at that. Look at that dragon. Pretty cool looking. Alright. 107 Terror Quest. Alright. Let's go to Terror on the Prairie and see what we're dealing with. I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe there's another longer quest here. Paper Faces. Should we be doing that one first? I don't know. But maybe not. Maybe that's the finale. Alright, so here we are. Terror on the Prairie, 1007. Let us read together. You ride east, following the road through the rocky plains until an offshoot takes you northeast into a wooden gulch. Wispy tendrils of black oily smoke snake up through the trees ahead. You approach cautiously, unsure of what you might find there, but your apprehension at coming face to face with the dragon is dwarfed by the hope of finding survivors. What's left of a merchant caravan sits smoldering off the bank of a small stream. The trees part around the water and road, creating a natural clearing where the dragon must have attacked the caravan. Almost all of the wood has been reduced to ash, and the copper nails that once held it together have been melted and fused with the earth. Steel bands from shipping containers and reinforced trunks have been scattered around the landscape, as have the bones, weapons, and armor of half-dozen caravan guards. So we can examine the debris for clues or search for signs of survivors leaving the area. Clues or survivors. All right, we're all in this for heroism, so we are starting with 107. We're going to search for survivors. 4284. You search the area for signs of any survivors and discover tracks leading away from the clearing heading north, several horses and a single set of wagon tracks. The path splits and the tracks follow an offshoot up a rocky slope leading to a stone bridge over a crevasse. Beyond the bridge stands a watchtower surrounded by a crumbling stone wall. In the small courtyard inside the wall, you discover the single wagon you had been tracking. It's low to the ground and covered with a thick flame-resistant tarp. You dismount and approach the covered wagon. As you are about to take a peek under the tarp, a voice calls out to you. Who goes there? A soldier, a human woman in the red and white livery of the Belmont family of Rostam County, stands in the tower's doorway holding a spear. You explain that you've come from Dragonholt, having seen the smoke and heard that a dragon was seen in the area. As you speak, the soldier watches the sky anxiously. Right, you'd better come inside quickly. We barely managed to escape. The dragon might find us at any moment. You follow the woman inside and find yourself in the company of 4 soldiers in Belmont livery, a timid human man in fine clothes, and their 5 horses. An air of anxiety and fear is heavy in the cramped tower room, and the horses are restless. I'm Lieutenant Bentley, says one of the soldiers, a human man with a grizzled beard and an eye patch. We're grateful you've come, but what purpose could you have for approaching a dragon, he asks, his one eye studying you intently. You take a moment to consider the question. Bentley's 3 remaining soldiers, the human woman you met earlier, an orc man, and a dwarf woman, all seem on edge, perhaps more so due to your presence than the fact that they were attacked by a dragon. The other man, the human in fine clothes, sits near his horse, nervously clutching a satchel. He's clearly not a soldier, perhaps a merchant. We could say, I've come to help any survivors. We can ask, what brings Rostrum soldiers to Dragonholt country? Or we can ask, why would the dragon attack your caravan? Are you getting a little feel for they have robbed the dragon or something? Like they're nervous to see us. I'm going to ask, what brings you guys to here? I'm suspicious. 9113. The lieutenant grimaces before speaking. We're tasked with protecting this merchant and his caravan on a trade mission. Bentley looks over his shoulder and calls out, Kevin. The skittish merchant jumps to his feet, still clutching his satchel tightly. Yes, exclaims the timid man as he steps forward. Indeed, I've come from Rostrum on a... He trails off, looking to the lieutenant and swallowing before continuing. On a trade mission to Haverford. Lieutenant Bentley coughs loudly and clears his throat, causing the smaller man to startle and cease his explanation. We could say, why does a merchant need so many guards? Or we could say, why would the dragon attack your caravan? I'm going to ask, why would a merchant need so many guards? Something is very fishy here. Lieutenant Bentley narrows his gaze, and the orc soldier shifts his hand to rest on the blade at his hip. Yes, quite unusual, I'm sure, squeaks the merchant. Well, you see, it is an order from Lord... Unusual, perhaps, interrupts Bentley, but it was damn lucky that there are so many of us. That dragon tore apart our caravan and fellows easily enough. Had there not been so many of us, Kevin here would be dead for sure. As he speaks, the lieutenant grips the merchant by the shoulder, and you can see the thin man wince. It's odd, though, you say, almost as if you were expecting to encounter the creature. What exactly would a dragon want to attack your Why exactly would he want to attack your caravan to begin with? Yeah, something is off here. 4002. The merchant looks nervously between you and Lieutenant Bentley. I can't say I know, says the lieutenant. What reason does a blood-thirsty beast have to attack and kill anyone? It's in their nature to be destructive, is it not? You inquire if they did anything to provoke the dragon. The frail merchant tightens his grip on his satchel, which you see bulges from its contents. If story point G8 is marked, G8 is not. Otherwise, 1490. Suddenly, something huge strikes the side of the watchtower, causing the walls and ceiling to shake. A deafening roar sounds from outside, and a massive clawed hand smashes through the wooden ceiling, slashing through the air overhead. Olga, to the ballista, calls the lieutenant. Kevin, stay inside and stay low. The rest of you with me. With that, he charges out of the tower, followed by his soldiers and you behind them. Clinging to the side of the tower is a creature of overwhelming stature with luminescent red scales, each the width and length of a human hand. The monster stands on its hind legs, 2 stories tall, with great leathery wings and a tail just as long as its body that whips from side to side. The creature blindly reaches in through the hole it has created in the roof. As of yet, it has not noticed that you and the soldiers have poured out into the courtyard. The dwarf woman hustles over to the covered wagon and throws off the heavy tarp to reveal a military ballista mounted on a flatbed wagon. She immediately sets to work arming the device. Keep it distracted, shouts Bentley. Then he and the 2 remaining soldiers pull heavy crossbows from their backs and form a rhythm of firing bolts at the great lizard and reloading. So we could take aim at fire, we can assist the dwarf with the ballista, we can buffet the dragon with runic magic, which we have the skills for. We can cover the beast in magical ice, because we have the frost rune. Or we can swat at the creature's tail and hind legs. Like, I don't want to fight this dragon, I want to fight these people, but... Alright, we have the ice, so I think we should use that, 1073. Since we're not really given a choice, we have to fight it. You reach into a belt pouch and grasp the frost rune wrapped in sheepskin. Already the air in the courtyard feels colder, and frost forms on the delicate flowers that grow inside the walls. As you draw out the shard, the dragon halts its action and snaps its jaws at you, fixing its gaze on the object in your hand. Oh, he doesn't like that. The great lizard's eyes burn, and its nostrils flare as you reach your will into the shard and draw upon the stored magical energy inside. You feel the heat of the dragon's will prodding and attempting to wrest control of the magic away from you, but it cannot bear to touch the chilling energy. You release from the shard a blizzard that coats the tower and the dragon's wings in bitter frost. The creature roars and fire builds in its throat, but the frost rune's magic reaches out and snuffs the flames. Just as ice crystals begin to form on the dragon's scales, its long tail slams down beside you, forcing you to dive out of the way and lose focus on the magic. Mark 2 progress. Okay, so we've marked 2 progress of 18. 18 progress to kill this dragon, it looks like. Okay, and then it says read 1415. The dragon leaps down from the tower wall to land in the courtyard, causing the ground and walls to shake. A fiery light swells in the creature's throat. The rumble of its growl vibrates in your chest, and you feel the heat of its furnace blast breath. Lieutenant Bentley and his soldiers draw back from the beast. Then you hear a whinny and the beating of hooves on the stone bridge. You look to see the frail merchant frantically riding away, still tightly clutching his satchel. The dragon roars and snaps its jaws at the fleeing merchant, then beats its leathery wings, kicking up a whirlwind and lifting itself into the air to follow after the panicked rider. Fire, calls Lieutenant Bentley from behind you. You turn to look over your shoulder at the ballista just in time to see the dwarf soldier let her missile fly. The bolt slices through the air and passes within a hair's breadth of your head, but the soldier knew what she was doing. The steel shaft slides harmlessly past you and horribly into the dragon. It tears a ragged hole through the monster's leathery wing and sinks into its rib cage with a thick, meaty thunk. The beast howls and falters, crashing down among the trees. Oh my gosh. Mark 6 progress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. Without so much as stopping to nurse its wound, the dragon bounds after the merchant on foot. You are on your mount in an instant, galloping after the dragon. Soon you break out of the woods and see the dragon bounding across the rocky prairie. Farther ahead is the merchant, riding as quickly as his horse will carry him. Time passes. Okay, so 1 of 8 times passes. The roar of blood pounding in your veins matches the thunder of hooves beneath your mount. In the distance, you see the thatched roofs and wooden walls of the village of Eversmore, and each second that passes brings the dragon closer to destroying them all. So if story point D4 is marked, D4 is marked. So we read 3969. I wonder what that's about. I wish I could remember what caused certain story points to be marked. So D4 3969. You know, it would be nice to remember, oh, we marked D4 because we did this, but maybe we can get a clue from this. 3969. The road cuts through a rolling hill, and you see the dragon leap and scramble up the rocky slope, unable to squeeze through the narrow gap. When you emerge from the other side, you see that you have gained some ground on the great lizard, which now bounds through the fields beside you, trampling the crops with complete disregard. We can charge into melee combat. We can attack the dragon at range. Or we can strike with runic lightning if we have runes, which we do. Lightning ends up wounding us, and we do have dueling and the sword. I think we're going to charge into melee combat. Normally I use the arrow, but he's got ranged weapon. He's got his flame, so maybe we're better off being close, although he does have all his claws and stuff. I'm going to charge into melee combat for once, although we don't have super strength. 1716. Let's try it. And also we get close to him, maybe we can talk to him. I don't think he's in the mood for talking though. You draw your weapon and press your mount into a charge. The dragon takes notice of you only as you come within striking distance. Its eyes are wide and confused, but narrow quickly. The beast pounces, swinging a heavy clawed paw in your direction. If you have agility or athletics, that's the one we wish we had. We don't. So he's going to hurt us. 2759. This is going to hurt. 2759. We knew what we were doing. Wait, let me make sure. 1716. If you have agility, 2759. Otherwise 7728. You slash with your weapon, but it glances off the creature's hard scales. The dragon's attack catches you full in the side and throws you to hang from the side of your mount, which swings away from the dragon's path. Blood blooms on your side as you struggle to right yourself. The dragon's sharp claws have left a deep gash in your side. You lose 6 stamina. Oh my god, 6 stamina. Now we're down to 6 left. Time for a healing potion. Read entry 3288. Ouch. We could have used military to give us that, but the dragon glares at you, then swivels its head toward the whinnying horse of the fleeing merchant. The anger in the beast's eyes is clear and frightening as it bounds after the merchant at full speed. If 18 progress, no. If 6 or more time, no. Otherwise, time passes. Read entry 2743. The dragon snaps twice, then spits a gout of easily dodged flame in a wide arc across the road. You realize quickly that the attack was meant as a distraction, as the dragon ignores you to focus its full attention on the fleeing merchant. So we can charge through the fire and close with the beast. We can launch a volley of fired missiles, or we can use the frost to snuff the flames and slow the dragon with cold, or we can stamp out the flaming crops before giving chase. All right, let's use our frost rune again, 3077, but before we do, we're going to consume a healing potion, which brings us down to 2 healing potions and gives us +7 health, which brings us to 13 stamina. Okay, so we're going to try to use our frost rune again, since we have never gone wrong with that frost rune. 3077. You reach into a pouch on your belt and feel the frost rune wrapped in sheepskin inside. By the time you've drawn it, the fire around you has been choked out by bitter cold. You press your mount into a sprint and notice you're gaining on the dragon, which is moving slower to catch its breath after releasing the burst of flame. The dragon bounds across the road in front of you, and you can see an irrigation ditch up ahead. You reach out with the magic of the frost rune and pull several large, jagged spikes of ice out of the water just as the dragon leaps over the ditch. Unable to stop its momentum, the dragon bowls through the ice shards. One spike pierces the scales beneath its forelimb. A second punctures the leathery membrane of the creature's wing and tears a tattered gash. The giant lizard stumbles and rolls to a stop, but only for a moment. Within seconds, the creature has pulled itself to its feet, though you can see it now moves with a limp. However, the unnatural cold causes your mount to panic and buck. So 3 progress. 1, 2, 3. That means we've got 2, 4, 7 left. We lose 3 stamina, which brings us to 10. Read entry 4770. Yeah, again, the shards always seem to cause us some damage. There's a furious exasperation in the dragon's howls. Its focus is split between its true target, the fleeing merchant, and you, who are clearly so bothersome that it cannot ignore you. If 18 progress, no. If 6 or more time, no. Otherwise, time passes. Read entry 7163. The dragon swivels its snake-like head and pins you with a burning gaze. Its chest and throat swell with a red-hot glow, and embers and smoke drift from the beast's nostrils. The creature's massive claws sink into the soil as it opens its maw to release a deadly roar. So we can dive behind cover and wait out the firestorm. We do have stealth, but we don't have agility. Charge through the flames and hurl a spear into its maw. Really? Fireproof? Or choke the dragon's fire with runic cold, which requires the frost rune. I mean, why mess with what works, right? That frost ruin seems to keep working. So let's try that until it stops working. 4030. I'm tempted to dive and let the I'm tempted to dive behind cover and wait out the firestorm too. I mean, maybe we'll take less damage than using the frost rune. But I am curious to see if the frost rune ever doesn't work. Dive behind cover and wait out the firestorm. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to dive behind cover. 8873. Sure looks like 8873, 8875. You can scarcely hear the monster howl over the roar of its breath igniting into flame. It spits the fire accurately and continuously, a relentless barrage of death you can do nothing to stop. You lose 3 stamina. Really? Alright, we're down to 7 stamina. You guide your mount behind a large standing boulder, which begins to grow hot to the touch. Tendrils of fire constantly lick their way around and singe your hair and clothing. Your eyes dart around the prairie as you desperately look for a way to escape. If you have awareness, which we do, read entry 1213. Again and again, you hear the dragon's breath swell, a distinct popping and the roar of the air igniting into flames that batter your hiding spot. The pattern it forms in your mind. You steady your mount, ready to make your move. You hear the popping once more and anticipate the wave of flame that follows. You kick your mount into action, riding first away from your now glowing hiding place, then around the monster, just out of reach of the fiery breath. The dragon snaps its jaws and breaks into a run, bounding through the fields towards Eversmoor in parallel with you. 9496. Wow, that seems like we wasted an opportunity to hurt him with our frost drone. That was a mistake, maybe. 9496. You and the dragon race over the rolling hills of the prairie, all the while wooden buildings and thatched roofs of Eversmoor growing closer. If 18, no. If 6 or more time, no. Otherwise, time passes. 5178. I guess we should not be so cautious. We're going to have to rush into him. But I think we got to use another healing potion to bring us up to 14. Now we have 1 healing potion left. We might not survive this. Although he's more than half dead. 9496. 9496, which told us to reach 5178. Alright, we don't. It keeps asking us if. Hold on. How much time did it ask us to check for? 9496. If 6 or more time, we're on 4. We don't have much time to kill this thing. It's either now or never. We're gonna have to. We should have used the run. Okay. Whenever you draw close to the dragon, it bounds away over a hill or through the crops. With the rolling hills leaving your mount off the road and through the fields would prove unwise. As the road winds around the hills, the dragon slowly begins to pull away from you. For now, you'll have to attempt to slow the dragon from afar. We can fire upon the dragon with our crossbow, hinder it with glimmer dust if we have alchemy, unbalance it with runic magic, which carves runes. That's what we're going to have to do. 9, 9. Or we can try to get the mount to keep up. 9964. We're going to use runic magic, and if it causes us to get hurt, that's fine. You draw a gnarled piece of crystal that looks like petrified wood from a belt pouch and hold it in your hand. Reaching out with your mind and the power of the growth rune, you can feel the crops living all around you. The plants react to your call and begin to grasp and pull at the dragon's feet, but it's no use. The dragon is too strong for your magic to stop it from advancing. So you shift tactics and make the terrain treacherous and unstable. Roots shoot up from the ground and tangle around the dragon's feet. With each step, it has to tear more and more vines from the soil. The dragon attacks the entangling vegetation with its burning breath. The flames spread quickly, and soon you are surrounded. You lose 4 stamina. Now we're down to 10. If you have the frost rune, which we do, 5, 6, 2, 7. From another pouch, you produce your frost rune. One quick thought causes the roots and vines to freeze, sharp shards of ice piercing the dragon's scales. You hold a hand aloft, a spear of ice forming overhead that fires forward and stabs into the beast's back near the shoulder. Mark 2 progress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 progress left. That's still a lot. And then read 9, 2, 5, 3. The prairie breaks into a particularly rocky step, and the dragon bounds into the road in an effort to find less hindering terrain. If 18 more progress, no. If 6 or more time, no. Otherwise, time passes. Well, I like the systematic thing that it's doing. So every time it's checking if time, but that's it. Like, I don't think we can win this because 6 or more times is going to pass the next thing we do. And we'd have to do 5 damage to it to kill it. So I don't have a good feeling about it, but we're going to come close. 3, 4, 6, 5. So I think that means he's going to like destroy the village a bit before we get him. 3, 4, 6, 5. Maybe if we had used the rune that one time, we would have done it. I'm not sure. You ride up behind the dragon on the road, picking your path wisely to avoid its swinging tail and being cautious of the twists and turns ahead that might cause the dragon to suddenly shift in your direction. We can ride alongside the dragon and attack its flank. We can leap onto its back, or we can entangle the creature's limbs with alchemical oobleck, but we need alchemy. We don't have it. We're going to have to do the Hail Mary, so we're going to jump on its back. And if it needs athletics, we're going to give ourselves athletics, even though I had to waste it, but this is our only chance here. 5, 5, 7, 1. You press your mount into a stupidly dangerous charge. What does the sword give us? Dueling and military. Stupid, useless. Okay, you press your mount into a stupidly dangerous charge straight toward the dragon's hind end. The creature swings its tail, your mount scrambles to stop, and you leap from the saddle. You land on the base of the dragon's tail. If you have athletics or brawling. Okay, so now we don't have athletics or brawling, but we could cash in our combat training to get brawling or military, but brawling is what we want. So we cash in our combat training to get brawling, or we could cash in our physical training to get agility, or sorry, athletics. Now, like of those two, I'd rather have athletics, but I'm trying to think if the potion from the mushroom was agility or athletics. I'm going to use our physical training to take athletics. Right now, it says you may learn a skill at any time. So we're learning athletics because this is our Hail Mary. that costs us our 1 experience, so we now have 0 experience. But now we can do this dragon. 5, 5, 7, 1. We have athletics, 4, 7, 6, 2. You land with the grace of a mountain cat and quickly scamper along the dragon's spine, using the spikes of bone on its back as footholds and handholds. Once you're positioned between the creature's wings, you swing the spear from your back and begin a relentless assault, thrusting your spear point through the membrane of the dragon's wings, between the plates of bone that protect its back, and even puncturing the scales on the back of its neck. Mark 3 progress. 1, 2, 3, which leaves him with 2 left. The dragon roars with fury and pain, beating its wings and bucking, anything to remove you from its back. The creature's movements increase in ferocity, and you think it's time to leave. You leap from its hind and back onto your saddle. You lose 3 stamina, which brings us to 7. And read 7, 8, 8, 5. The dragon howls in fury and barks fire at absolute random in frustration. When it finally turns its attention back to you, its eyes are filled with rage. If 18 or more have been marked, no. If 6 or more time, no. 5 or time marked. Otherwise, time passes. Okay. So that's it. 6 time has now passed. The next time we get to one of these paragraphs, it will say too much time has passed. He's made it. He's escaped you and gotten to the village. So we've got one more chance. 1, 8, 7, 8. Your spirits rise with each desperate snap of the dragon's jaws. It is wounded and enraged. You think you might be able to press your advantage to force the dragon into making a mistake. So, oh, that's unfortunate for us. If we had chose bruise, if we had chosen to take the skill brawling, we'd be able to do this thing that combines brawling and runes. We can keep the battle conventional and personal. We can press the beach with a volley of ranged attacks. Or we can assault the dragon with trickery and blade work, which requires agility or thievery. So we don't have agility. We don't have thievery. And we don't have brawling. So we cannot do these things that are likely to work. So we can keep the battle conventional and personal, or we can press the beast with a volley of ranged attacks. If we had chosen brawling, we would be able to kill it now for sure. I mean, this hurts because we're only going to get one shot at this. And we don't have the good ones. I'm just hoping that the bad ones hurt it a little and cause us more wounds. Keep the battle conventional and personal. Press them with a volley of ranged attacks. I mean, we do have archery. I'm not going to be happy if this does not end well for us. What happened last time that I should have taken brawling? Alright, I think we have to do ranged attacks because we don't have strength and we don't have brawling, so why should we keep the battle conventional and personal? Don't know what that means. But we have all the skills we need for archery, so 2935. You maneuver with the dragon on the road. When the dragon attempts to break away, you follow, but when the dragon attempts to chase, you flee. You ready your weapon and take aim. If you have archery, which we do, 7038. As you continue to maneuver around the dragon, you draw back your bow and loose arrow after arrow. Some glance off the creature's hide, but others puncture its wings or strike too close to its eyes for it not to take your harassment seriously. The dragon snaps its jaws at you, but you loose a shaft into the creature's maw that sends it reeling back and choking. A follow-up strikes the dragon's softer underbelly, puncturing the scales and sinking into the flesh. The beast roars, and the air ignites into flame that forces you to retreat. Mark 2 progress. And that is exactly our last 2 progress we just marked. We just reached the 18. Mark 2 progress. You lose 4 stamina, which brings us to 3 stamina. Read entry 7628. 7628. No? 7038. 7682. The battle rages, and blood, sweat, and cinder spread across the prairie. The dragon bounds through the fields, barking bursts of flames at the fleeing merchant, drawing ever closer to Eversmoor. If 18 progress has been marked, which it has, we killed it. We just barely killed it. Read 9987. We have 3 health, 1 healing potion, and we just killed it, and we just ran out of time. The dragon roars and staggers forward several paces. You advance, and its attempt to keep you at bay are weak at best. You see Braxton and Rochelle riding toward you from Eversmoor, and together you are able to restrain the weakened dragon with ropes. As you are testing the restraints to ensure they are secure, Talea approaches you from the south, dragging the Rostam merchant by the collar. The man is still clutching his satchel, and the dragon huffs and claws at the dirt, struggling forward. Its obsession with the merchant shockingly present even now. You inform Braxton, Rochelle, and Talea that the merchant has stolen something from the dragon and fled south to Eversmoor, leading the dragon the entire way. The merchant's simpering, manic smile fades as Talea hoists the man up by his collar. In this village, she shouts, you were willing to sacrifice an entire village to save your own thieving skin, and for what? The frail man whimpers and stammers, trying to articulate a defense, but Talea shakes him and he quiets instantly. There's no talking your way out of this, says Talea. Your freedom is forfeit. We're escorting you to Dragonholt. The Countess will decide what will happen to you next. You lift his satchel from the ground and open it to reveal a giant egg, glistening black with marbled red veins that seem to grow with molten heat. Immediately, the dragon snorts and howls, clawing at the dirt and attempting to reach you. You stole a dragon's egg? Gasps Braxton in surprise. It's no wonder the poor beast is so frantic. So we can slay the beast here and now, or we can return the egg and release the dragon. So I'll just point out something like, I like that there's a moral choice. It seemed, even without anything else, the game feels like up until now, it's sort of told us to help the dragon. But this is gilding the lily here. Look at, you stole a dragon's egg. It's no wonder the poor beast is so frantic. I mean, that's laying it on a little thick, right? If we're supposed to have moral quandaries in this game, that is kind of pushing us pretty strong to give it back. I'm almost tempted to kill the dragon just to mess with this game that really wants me to give it back its egg. I gotta think for a minute here. Like, you know, it's in my character to give it back its egg. And the game clearly wants me to give it back its egg. And we're already on the outs with this village for not helping Philip. So I'm afraid I cannot cement my reputation as a bad guy by killing this dragon. It's not in my nature to kill the dragon, so I'm not going to. So mark entry W2, story W2. We'll come back and look at it later. After we finish the game, we'll see what would have happened. And read 4668. Boy, was that a close battle. Cautiously, you place the dragon egg on the ground in front of the beast, ready to draw your weapon should the need arise. You, Braxton, and Rochelle release the dragon's restraints. The dragon doesn't move at first, doesn't raise claw or wing or tail against you. It sniffs the air and licks at the egg in front of its snout. Then it gently lifts the egg in its maw and bounds away from Eversmoor toward the north, leaving you and the village behind without a second glance. Mark story point L5. The quest is complete. Read entry 4275 in the Dragonholt book. So let's make a note here. After dragon, read 4275. Okay, let's read that together. Back on the main page, 4275. Well, that was the dragon quest. Terror on the Prairie. That was pretty cool. All right, let's read this and then maybe we wrap it up. 4275. With the dragon gone, Rochelle rides off to find her mother and reverse the evacuation. You, Braxton, and Rochelle take custody of the merchant, who seems a broken shell of a man, as terrified of Talea as he ever was of the dragon. As you approach Dragonholt, a stiff, cool breeze blows past, a blessed relief from the heat of the day. It lasts only an instant, but it promises a cooler night ahead, and even your mount seems to perk up at the prospect. In time, you deliver Kevin to his jail cell and your mount to the stable. It seems word of your success has already spread, and the anxiety that gripped the town this morning is dissipating faster than heat. Mark 2 progress in heroism. Okay, so we didn't need 2 progress. We only needed 1, but that's great. We each gain 1 experience and fame by 1. Okay, so that's kind of good. Our fame has gone from 0 to 1. We lost 3 for having Philip die, but at least we're in the positive now. And our experience is now back up to 1, which means we can gain another skill. That's awesome. Okay. What else? Mark 1 progress in combat training and 2 in physical. We already finished both of those. So 3 more wasted progress. That count for nothing. Time passes in the village on day 6. Okay, so it's now into evening. And the encounter is complete. Okay, well, I could have used some cash, guys. Rather than the physical training and the combat training, I wouldn't have minded some cash, especially since I spent 150 on that sword that is useless. I'd like to sell that sword at the smithy. Is that an option? Is that an option? Right, before we end this day, I'm going to just see if that's an option. 5780. Or at the market. If 5 or is it still open? It wants there to be 5 or less time. Okay, it's still open. 7743. I suppose we should know this already. Is N1 marked? N1 is marked, but R5 is R5 marked? R5 is also marked. That means we have the thing. Otherwise, 4422. Purchase equipment. Ask them to make a magical sword, or ask if there's anything we can do to help. No, we can't sell it. All right. I have real buyer's remorse from that sword. All right, we'll end it there. We did have an epic fight with that dragon, and we did not need our sword for that somehow. And we're still in the middle. We're still in the evening of day 6. We have a little bit more of day 6 to play, but we'll end there, and I will see you next time.